I've gotten a few text messages about my jacket. I appreciate all of you. Ron, if you can, let us know that we're live on TV.
Okay, I'm here.
Hello,
Okay.
Robert Rice.
All
And
right.
Hi,
let me bring in the
everyone.
What, Doug? I'm sorry.
Yeah, just give me 1 second. I'm setting up all the live streams here.
Okay.
And Doug, I'll give you the order for department heads, and then you can do them one by one.
Cool. Most perfect. 1 second. All right, we're live on Facebook, live on YouTube.
Okay. We're ready then?
Yeah, we're recording on Zoom, and I believe, Ron, we're good, right?
Yep, we're good.
Thank you, Ron. All
Okay.
right, feel free to call the meeting to order.
All right. Let's stand for Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag
of
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Robbie Rice.
What happened?
She's
Sorry, I'm here.
Councilman Began.
Here.
Councilwoman Oregon. Councilman Kaplan.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Katz.
Here.
Mayor Dunleavy.
Here.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by resolution number 226-2020, sending a copy to the newspapers officially designated for 2021 by way of resolution number 111-2020, filing a copy in the township clerk's office and posting it on the municipal building bulletin board. And the mayor hereby directs that this statement be included in the minutes.
Thank you, Doug. Just very brief announcements this evening. Again, the township administration present tonight is Dean Kaczynski, our township manager, Doug Roussillon, our township clerk, Clarence Barnes, our building maintenance worker, Ron Goodman, volunteer cable caster, and John Shadanian from the law firm of McCusker and Selmy, Rosen, and Carvello. Just a couple of other announcements. The next televised council meeting will take place on Tuesday, March 16th at 7 p.m. The council this evening did not meet in closed session prior to this. And please be reminded that attendance to the municipal building is by appointment only until further notice. And so at this point, we are at opening it up to the public for good and welfare. So Doug?
Yes, sir. Again, I want to remind everybody, 3 minutes. You know how it is with our good and welfare sessions. I will be keeping the time. And again, I don't like interrupting people or cutting people off and screwing up your train of thought. So if I cut you off before you had time to finish your thought, feel free to email me at clerk@tnecnj.gov. And I will be sure to copy and paste your statement verbatim into the minutes just so there's no misinterpretation. And with that, I'm opening it up. The first hand that I see is Miss Sandy Silverberg. Sandy. Hello, Sandy.
Hello, Doug.
3 minutes, miss.
Thank you. Good evening, Council. During these tragic times of COVID, the library never stopped functioning. It's served by shifting protocols multiple times. Some council members value the library the way the people do. Sadly, there are others who mistakenly believe library use is down. This is simply not true. Circulation of ebooks and digital materials was up 99% in 2020. Program attendance rose. Almost 300,000 books were borrowed. 73% of residents have library cards. These same council members scoffed that the library is a frill, but they have little idea how vital it is. Yes, the library provides vital services. This COVID year, the library was often the only lifeline for some people. It helped bridge the digital divide, break down isolation, feed the mind and soul. It supported children's education, the learning of new skills to enter or re-enter the job market. It provided access to critical information about vaccination, health and safety, or an escape from pain. So when the library budget comes up for discussion on March 25th, please grant the director's full request. It is not a big ask. We don't want to see the library have to curtail hours of operation because of understaffing and a crumbling physical plant that cannot house the collection and where you can't get to a decent toilet. So much has been accomplished. So much more can be done with your help. We need staff. We need capital renovation. Find a way. Did Alexandra Soriano Tavares make a very ill-advised statement? Yes. Was it anti-Semitic? The implication calling for a boycott of Cedar Lane businesses probably wasn't aimed at Bischoff's, let's say. If people were outraged by it, why wasn't it raised months ago when it happened? I don't know. Should her statement be a disqualifier? In my opinion, probably yes. Hers is not the kind of voice I want to listen to. Here's the thing. It was not the only voice raised, nor was it the last voice raised that day. I heard Henry Pruitt's voice and Javon Romney Rice's voice, and I choose to listen to voices like theirs, voices of unity, not division, voices of reconciliation, not separation, voices of compassion, not bile, voices of reason, not bigotry, voices of love, not hate. I will vote for candidates who seek by action, deed, and voice to build up together, not to tear down tribally. Decency can win. Thank you.
I'm muted. Thank you, Ms. Silverberg. Please be safe out there. I just brought in Ms. Jane Irwin. Hello, Jane.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, miss. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, last year, the Senior Citizen Advisory Board successfully, we thought, lobbied for a full-time assistant for Mary Beth Hubbard, director of the Senior Center. In reality, the position is still part-time permanent. We need a full-time assistant now. You need to maintain the Rhoda Center and plan ahead now to expand the facility to accommodate the increasing enrollment at the center. Many seniors are on the wrong side of the digital divide, including me. We need to provide technological training and support and find alternate ways of communicating with seniors. We therefore strongly support the library request for a full-time librarian with technological expertise. Also, the library building, as Sandy said, is crumbling. It must be repaired and renovated. We need a full-time social worker. We are also requesting Sunday afternoon concerts at the band shell. Tenafly had twice weekly concerts all last summer. Everyone brought a chair, masked up, and socially distanced. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jane. And Jane, I promise you're going to get a call back tomorrow. I am now bringing in Dr. Powers. Dr. Powers, got to unmute. Dr. Powers?
I'm trying to
There you go.
I'm trying to start my video.
There you go. Hello, sir.
Doug, I did not ask to speak yet. I have
Oh,
no idea why you thought I did.
your hand was up.
No, my hand was not.
All right. I didn't just call on you.
I will be glad to speak at this point, however.
Okay. Do you want to speak or do you want to wait?
Why don't you wait until I raise my hand?
All right. Sorry. I saw your hand, sir. I apologize.
No, you did.
Yeah, I apologize about that. Lynn Kloss. Lynn Claus.
Okay, I am in, I guess.
Yes, you have 3
I just
minutes.
wanted I just wanted to say a couple of words in support of the library and the library's request for full funding. To echo Sandy and Jane, the building needs some serious work. And excuse me, the director's request for a tech librarian at this point is really vital, because in addition, as Jane mentioned, to the digital divide for seniors, there's a digital divide for kids as well. And given that many of them are still remote schooling, the library can assist with that, as well as with homework help and lots of other great stuff. So I'm not going to keep you on much longer. I'm just urging you to support this essential community resource in a time when there are very few places to get outside stimulation, and to keep growing and learning. And the library provides that for us. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing, Ms. Claus. And now, Lynn Buckingham. Lynn Buckingham, feel free to unmute.
Hello,
Hello.
thank you.
No problem. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. I'll try to be quicker than that. I just want to re-echo what's been said about the library. I've lived in Teaneck 35 years. Until this year, probably the most time I'd spent in the library was when my children were young. I've been there, going there all 35 years, but you know, with young kids, you do a lot. But this past year with COVID and it being really the only place to get books, I was using it a lot. And while people thought it was shut down, it really wasn't. They were working hard inside and bringing books right to us at curbside. And in addition, in a year of COVID and politics and lots of things going on, I really appreciated the digital access to materials that I wouldn't have been able to read without using their subscriptions. It really was a savings to me, as I'm sure it is to lots of seniors, lots of students, lots of families who may have lost income during this year. I don't think those things are going to get better real soon, but for the library, it could get better with the funding that they need. And I hope you will keep supporting that and understand the needs that are there and how much it meant to the community, not just this year, but always. And it certainly will in 2021 and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing, Ms. Buckingham.
You're welcome.
I am now bringing in a Susan. Susan, feel free to unmute yourself.
Okay, I'm unmuted. My name is Susan Mayer. I am the treasurer of the Friends of the Teaneck Public Library. And I really want to give a shout out to the library for having so quickly pivoted to being able to address the needs of the Teaneck community, despite the fact that we were all in lockdown, that the library was closed. But nonetheless, they were able and continue to be able to provide vital services to the community by going digitally, by providing videos, by being able to provide books, by even delivering books to seniors. I think they really need to be supported. I know and hope that the library will open within the next, I don't know, let's say 6 months from now to the public. And at that point, there is some definite work that needs to be done to the building. But more importantly, I want to encourage the council to consider the request for the digital reference librarian. It is so clear that the services that the library is providing are vital, and we should support the continuation of those services. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Ms. Mayer. Now I see a hand is raised as Teaneck Group B. I believe that this might be Anna Kurz. Please confirm. I just want to clarify with council, the reason why it's as Teaneck Group B is because she is the chair of our Shade Tree Advisory Board, and I guess she forgot to log out, but that's all right. Anna, is that you?
It is. It is. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, Anna.
Thank you.
You have 3
Your jacket is great. I haven't prepared a statement, but I'm speaking because I'm concerned about trees in Votey Park. They're on the east side of the park. There are a lot of old trees that are aging out. They will die. I hope they will die and not injure anybody, but that's a different question. What I really want is to find some way to start planting replacements now, because if we don't, we won't have any trees there. And it takes a while for the trees to get really big. And the trees that I'm concerned about are very big. They're very noble trees. I know that there's you can't just go in and plant in Votey Park, but somehow I know that trees are being planted there by the PSE&G Power Exchange. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but 6 trees are going to be planted in Votey Park to replace the trees that have been taken down for the enhanced power, electric power thing. So my plea is, please give some money to, and some thought to getting trees in Votey Park replaced, despite the restrictions of the earth remediation that were done there. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Anna. It's always good to hear from you. I'm now bringing in a Benji.
Hi, thank you for, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Benji, you got 3 minutes.
Thank you. So I am a member of the library board, and I'd like to ask council that you support Director McGinley's request for an emerging technology librarian. I think it'll help all ages of residents of Teaneck with new technologies and how to use them in the library, as well as help bring the library technology-wise into the next decade as we enter it. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Benji. Is that all?
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
I don't see any other hands up. Do you?
I don't see any other hands right now.
No.
Okay, all right, then
Wait.
we'll,
A hand just came.
Dr. Powers is there.
Yes, Dr. Powers. Sorry about that again, sir. Again, your hand was up. I apologize. You have 3 minutes, and hopefully the hand was correct this time.
It was indeed. Thank you very much.
No problem. 3 minutes, sir.
Last night, the council supported a library sponsored, FDU sponsored meeting at which the township mayor pointed out rightly that, in fact, trust must underlie the way in which people in this town relate to each other. The problem is that walking the talk, which was the name of this meeting, was absolutely undermined by the fact that both our mayor and our deputy mayors this week radically and improperly disparaged a very important member of this community, Alexandra Soriano Tavares, and worked very hard to make sure that she was not a candidate for the assembly. I found it unbelievable that walk the talk and the application of the importance of trust was so badly undermined by the mayor himself and these 2 other members. The Skylands Victory PAC is listed by the Election Law Enforcement Commission as a Sussex County Republican organization formed in 2010. It has kept regular records, been consistently well-funded, and has apparently for a decade funded just Republican candidates for Sussex and Western Morris County. However, on March 14th, the PAC made a $900 contribution to moving Teaneck forward. The Joint Municipal Campaign Committee, which elected 3 nonpartisan council seats in Teaneck on May 12th. In this case, the $900 contribution to moving Teaneck forward was, according to the PAC's record to elect, not sent to moving Teaneck forward, but sent to John Sedanian at 210 Park Avenue, Suite 301, Florham Park. These are the main offices of McCusker, Anselmi, Rosen, and Cavalli, the firm that Teaneck Township Attorney Sedanian had joined just 2.5 months earlier. Just why the Teaneck Town Attorney, a member of the New Jersey Democratic State Committee, was directly involved in his firm's, directly involved his firm's office to deliver a Sussex County Republican contribution into Teaneck's nonpartisan elections financial processes certainly deserves review. Why is this just now coming to light? Skyland PAC, like 55 other MTF contributors who contributed more than $300 apiece, were not, as required by ELEC, separately identified until 5 Moving Teaneck Forward amended late reports were filed by MTF 8 months after the election, all on January 21.
I apologize, Dr. Powers, your 3 minutes was up. Again, you have my email, sir. Please send whatever statements that you were not able to fit in, and I will copy and paste them into your statement here in the minutes. At this time, Mayor, I don't see any other hands.
I don't either, so we'll close the good and welfare at this time.
Close.
I'll start with today with Councilmember Kaplan, if he has anything he wants to say.
I'm just eager to get into budget season. I thank those that came out and advocated for the library. As the liaison to the library, I think Director McGinley has been doing amazing work. Before the pandemic, he was doing amazing work. Throughout the pandemic, he's stepped it up a notch. So I am eager to start hearing from our department heads.
Karen is not here. Councilwoman Rice, do you have anything you want to say? You're on mute, Trevon.
Sorry about that. Just always value and appreciate our community members voicing their concerns. And thank you for all the library folks that have come out tonight, and I look forward to our meeting.
Councilmember Pagan.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Teaneck is on strong financial ground compared to our neighboring municipalities and compared to hundreds of municipalities across the state. And that is due to the strong fiscal management of our CFO, our manager, and our staff at City Hall over the years under the guidance of this council. Our auditor says we are positioned well to weather the fiscal ramifications of this pandemic. And the Moody's credit rating agency also says that Teaneck is faring better financially than municipalities of similar size in Bergen County and across the state. And that is proof positive that budgets are indeed about priorities, and that in Teaneck, we are prioritizing appropriately when it comes to taxpayer dollars. But unfortunately, we still have a lot of families in Teaneck who are struggling to pay their mortgage, struggling to pay their rent, struggling to put food on their tables, and struggling to pay their utility bills. And that is why we have to be even more cognizant and more diligent in how we decide to spend and how we decide to invest during this very challenging budget season. And it is imperative that we do our best to hold the line on taxes as much as possible, since so many families in Teaneck are still struggling with the many different effects of this dangerous pandemic. So I thank the residents who spoke tonight, and I look forward to hearing what our department heads have to say and what our manager and CFO have to say. Thank you, Mayor.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz.
Yes, thank you very much. This is a meeting I always in the past tense looked forward to. Looking forward to hearing from our department heads, as we did not cut any monies for 6 straight years, but did not raise our municipal expenses, our municipal taxes. That being said, I'm going to be asking the heads, several of them that this applies to, what have we done in the past year? And while I support the library, and I support everyone that came out and spoke at the library. The library's closed. What happened to all that money in the last year? What is happening to that money in the next few months until we are open? Something I look forward to. I'm going to be asking the same thing to a recreation department head. My questions are not to be taken personally as something against the recreation department, against the children, against the library, against the members who go to the library, and against our volunteers. My comments will be solely as a financial and our fiduciary duty, I should say, on behalf of the 41,000 township residents. I look forward to our hearings. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Katz?
No, I echo what Councilman Pagan said. Listen, we after Mike McHugh retired, I thought that whoever filled those shoes was in deep trouble. But the reality is the current librarian is doing a spectacular job. I've been in communication with him throughout the pandemic. I've been watching all the different great formats that have been put out by the library over the last 12 months. We can say it's 12 months now. And certainly a big supporter. Conversely, and this is a comment to all the department heads, is this year our residents especially got hit hard, and we have to tighten the belts and we have to do things a little differently. We owe it to them. And certainly our revenue got hit hard. But hopefully we can figure out how to come up with a balance that works for everybody.
And I just want to add that, you know, this town came through probably, it was a one-off year. I mean, I don't think anybody ever thought that was going to happen, and hopefully I'm not thinking that it's ever going to happen again. But I have to thank our manager, and I have to thank his staff for doing everything that they can, not only for direct services to the community, but to managing this budget in a way that we are in, as we will be discussing, so much better shape than many, many, many other towns who have really taken a tremendous hit because of the COVID-19 pandemic. I also want to remind everybody, including the council, that, I've said this many times before, we have to start thinking in terms of 2-year budgets so that income, expenses, revenues, allocations, you name it, will have an impact on 2022. So no matter what we do here this year, we're going to have also perhaps a leaner year in 2022, because as you can see, we're into March and we don't have the revenues that we would normally have. And those are the basis for the budgeting for the following year, as per the way the municipalities have to do it. So we have to think a little bit more globally. We have to think about 2 years or more as we start to look at these budgets. I know people want certain things, and I know people want to cut certain things. But we also have to balance the service to the community, but also keep in mind that these numbers that we're dealing with today will affect what we can do in 2022. Okay. All right. So, Doug, do you have a list or a sequence of the department heads?
I believe Dean has a particular order that he would like to go in, and I'm just going to coordinate in the order that he prefers.
Okay.
You're muted, Dean.
If I can ask a question, how do we start off our meeting without a binder? A little blue binder? I think I've collected all of them.
They were delivered, should have been delivered to your residences late this afternoon.
So I'm still in my office, but okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to log off then. I'm out.
Actually, it took until about 4:30 this afternoon to finalize everything. And I just want to take a minute. The general format with the budget process here is, of course, I present my budget to council, but I do introduce the department heads and allow them about 2 minutes to say a little something about themselves. The larger budgets, department budgets, are scheduled for next Thursday and the following Thursday. And that's when everything is reviewed even further, scrutinized even further. But I just to open up and answer some of the questions in good and welfare. The budget, my presentation tonight is certainly going to answer some of the questions that were brought up in good and welfare. And to Anna Kurz, as my email mentioned either today or yesterday, there is a tree plan for planting as part of the PSE&G diversion program. So that will take place. I assure you that we'll do everything possible, and we'll do everything possible to replace any trees that were taken down as part of that diversion and make sure any trees that need to either be removed or replanted at OT are done. And again, this was a very, very difficult year for many reasons. Obviously, COVID is on top of the list. We had Tropical Storm Isaias. We had an early winter storm, revenue deficits. Just the revenue deficits alone totaled 5 tax points. I do want to say the department heads and my staff, all of the staff in town, performed admirably. I'm proud of everyone for their efforts and the sacrifices they made during the course of the year while continuing to, again, provide those services our residents deserve. Some difficult decisions were made in 2020. And of course, some more difficult decisions were made in my budget for this year. So there were sacrifices made from a management side, but I do believe it provides the services and continues to provide the services that, again, the residents have come to expect from our workforce. So that's just a little precursor before I get into my budget, but I want to introduce the department heads, and of course, I'll do ladies first. And Doug, if you can let Glenna Crockett, our Superintendent of Recreation, in.
Awesome. Raising your hand. Thank you, Glenna, because there's a lot of people on. So in is TNEC Group B. Got to unmute Glenna. Glenna.
Glenna, you need to unmute. There you go.
Okay, we're good?
Yes.
Good evening. I'm Glenna Crockett, and I've been the Superintendent of Recreation for over 35 years now. I hold a certificate from the National Recreation and Park Association as a certified park recreation professional and a recreation administrator certificate from the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs. The Recreation Department promotes year-round leisure time activities and quality recreation programming. We promote health and wellness through active, passive, and cultural activities. The department is a catalyst that unites and brings the entire community together, irrespective of religious, cultural, or ethnic diversity. We facilitate programs and activities with 13 full-time, over 75 part-time permanent and seasonal employees. In 2020, we had to modify our operation due to the pandemic. Through 3 different divisions, we offered 130 individual educational, fitness, art, dance classes and activities for ages 18 months to over 90 years old during the winter and fall seasons for a nominal fee or no fee for the residents, vital to their daily lives. We operated 1 swimming pool and 5 sprinklers during July and August. We managed our transportation service by scheduling and providing over 6,500 individual rides to over 600 individual senior and disabled residents. We had 3 vans on the road when demand dictated at no cost to the resident for medical appointments and food shopping. We scheduled limited reservations in the Rota Center, Sportsplex, and outside fields toward sports organization, individuals, and non-resident organizations. We provided a full-day quality educational experience for our 3- and 4-year-old students and continued our after-school program when approved to reopen. We were able to celebrate the dedication of the new field house adjacent to the Sportsplex. We opened a new exercise equipment station in Votey Park. With the governor's executive orders throughout last year and this year, and the minimum guidelines from the New Jersey Department of Health, we were able to provide programming in 2021. So far, we've planned vital classes for seniors and outdoor classes for children, adults, and seniors. We have also been brainstorming on how to effectively provide summer camp activities in our numerous camps for special events and special events in the park. We look forward to resuming all of our programs and activities utilizing all available outlets by year's end. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much, Glenna. And as everyone knows, we're utilizing the Richard Rhoda Center for our point of distribution. And again, we're performing roughly 10,000 vaccinations per week. And I know it's an inconvenience to our residents when it comes to recreation activities, but I say this all the time, Teaneck is saving lives. So nothing more needs to be said about that. So next up, I have our purchasing agent, and again, who has done an incredible job over the past year in securing the PPE that we've needed during the COVID crisis. It wasn't an easy job trying to maneuver and get these places to, before the county started providing us with some of those resources to secure what we needed to keep our workforce safe. So again, I always tip my hat to her, to Simona. She does an excellent job, and we're fortunate to have her here. Simona?
Got to unmute Simona. Looks like she's connecting here. Give her a second.
Okay. Yep, unmute again.
Need to unmute there, Simona. Technological lag. We all know it. Give her 1 second. Try to unmute Simona.
All right. What we'll do, Doug, is
I just bring in our next person, and we will.
Ms. Farah Galani, the township's engineer.
Farah, bringing you in. Hello, Farah. Need to unmute. Miss Farah.
There you go. Okay.
Everyone.
Hi, Farah.
Hi. Good evening, everyone. My name is Farah Galani, and I'm township engineer for past 6 years. This is my 7th year serving township of Teaneck. My department provides engineering services for the township infrastructure system. The department prepared capital improvement program as per relate to preparation of capital budget and the implementation. The department review residential plan for Teaneck code compliance and ensure that construction is according to approved plan and there is no adverse effect on the adjoining properties and public right of way. The township prepared and coordinate various federal, state, and county grants for opportunities to fund township projects. The engineer, the engineering department also is outsourced to Faste Consulting. The firm provides full-time licensed engineer, myself, and David Garwell, PE and CME, operating from municipal building. Additionally, the department has full-time clerk typist who is shared with the public work department and 1 part-time clerk typist. Despite of COVID, it was a successful year. Last year was a successful year for engineering department, and we were able to successfully completed several engineering projects within budget and within time and within budget. Some of the projects we completed last year are design and construction of 2019 road resurfacing, which are we completed. We paved 16 township roadways about 3.3 miles of roadways were paved. Construction of Windsor Road, Section 4, we paved about 1.5 mile of Windsor Road, and also we were additionally paved straight street ramps and partially ambulance for parking lot. Engineering, design and construction of southeast quadrant ADA ramps. We were able to construct 56 ADA ramps, which were funded by CDBG grant. Design and construction of Elizabeth Avenue project, which was funded by NJDOT grant, and another project design and construction of Tryon Avenue improvement, which is also another DOT grant. Traffic safety improvement and installation of RRFB at various intersections. Completion of Teaneck Road streetscape and Voti Park exercise station, Voti Park field house, digital stormwater outfall mapping for NJDOT, stormwater permit, rural center roof and facade improvement, installation of leach inlet to solve localized drainage problem at Warwick Street, and Trinity Creek emergency sewer repair. Some of the projects which will be completing in 2021 are design and construction of 2020 roadway resurfacing project, about 4 miles of roadway and 33 township streets. Design and construction of municipal building parking lot improvement, design and construction of Oakdean and Morningside improvement, design and construction of Hickory and Woodbine, design and construction of Hawthorne tennis court improvement, design and construction of Trehune playground, design and construction of Felt Park restrooms, design and construction of Voti Park bench shell, design and construction of Firehouse Station 4 improvement, construction of municipal building windows replacement, construction of municipal building roof and gutter improvement, municipal building basement demo and remediation, Elizabeth Road, and the completion of Teaneck digital text map and update, and design and construction of sanitary sewer improvement at Bilton and Julia Street. These are some of the projects which will be completing this year.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Farah. As everyone has heard, a lot of projects were done in 2020. A lot are going on now, and a lot are planned for 2021. So thank you so much for your service. And I think Simona should be ready to connect, Doug.
Thank you.
Simona.
All right. Are we going to try now? Can you hear me?
Perfect.
Okay. I was talking to myself for a second there. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope everybody's staying safe during this time. It sure has been a challenging time for everybody this past year. Never in my wildest dreams would I have thought to witness what we have witnessed this past year alone. As you know, my name is Simona Casian-Sârbu. I'm the purchasing agent for the Township of Teaneck. I have a department of 2 people, myself and an assistant. And we are the people behind a lot of the projects that you hear everybody talk about because we have to review them. And we are the department that gets the answer to a lot of inquiries from all 12 departments of the township, actually 13, including myself. But I pretend I don't answer myself because that wouldn't look too good. The purchasing department's function in the municipality is to act as an administrative compliance officer in ensuring that all the supplies and materials and services needed by each of the township departments are procured in an ethical manner and with due diligence while promoting a fair and competitive procurement process, which is compliant with the purchasing laws and guidelines of the New Jersey state local government. The purchasing department helps develop and reviews bid specifications and RFPs and oversees all public bid openings. Our bids and proposal announcements are advertised as statutorily mandated and can also be viewed on the township website. The department also conducts and oversees public auctions of surplus township vehicles, equipment, and supplies. The purchasing agent is also the designated PACO, which is the Public Agency Compliance Officer for the Township of Teaneck. Another aspect of the purchasing department within the Township of Teaneck is to support the Finance Department in monitoring budgets and departmental spending, and to serve as accounts payable liaisons by ensuring that vendors which have supplied services, equipment, and materials are paid promptly and in accordance with the law. In 2020, the purchasing department has issued purchase order totaling over $5 million and processed payments over $6.4 million. It has also processed 15 public bid and requests for proposals, which were publicly advertised in accordance with the requirements of the New Jersey state law. These bids and requests for proposal total a value over $5 million. As you all know, COVID-19 has brought hardship to everybody, to each department within the Township of Teaneck. It has been a challenging year for all of us, but more so, this affected the public procurement in New Jersey and municipal budgets. We have experienced firsthand from seeing price gouging take place to supply and demand imbalancing to major disruption in the supply chain. We went from paying minimal prices on PPE and cleaning products to paying as much as 6 times that price in the span of a couple of days. And we considered ourselves fortunate to even have it available to us. Nevertheless, the purchasing department has continued to strive for integrity, to adhere to sound business practices in the procurement process, while working to realize cost savings to the residents. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Simone. I appreciate everything that you do. Next, we have Mark Bacchino, the township's construction official.
Bringing him in, give him a second. Try to unmute there, Mark.
Got it. All right. You hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. As he told you, I'm Mark Bocchino. I'm the head of the building department. I serve as construction official as well as the plumbing subcode official and the affordable housing liaison. I also hold a zoning officer certification and help out there when needed. I have been with the township for 15 plus years, serving as construction official for the past 5. The building department is responsible for the enforcement of the Uniform Construction Code, the municipal land use law, and the township zoning ordinances. We execute these duties through the review of development, land use, and construction applications by issuing permits, performing field inspections, and issuing certificates of occupancy. In addition, we respond to emergency scenes to assist the fire and police departments in evaluating the suitability of structures for occupancy. We also investigate complaints that we receive from residents and contractors, usually regarding zoning and construction issues. In 2020, the building department issued 509 zoning permits and 1,838 construction permits, and we conducted 7,630 construction inspections. We fulfilled 770 OPRA requests. We archived 35 cartons of records, bringing our total of archive records to 525 cartons. All these numbers, though, are a decrease from the previous years, but we still seem to have broke even. This is due in part to a reduction of things in some areas, a reduction in availability in others. We also just did plain without. We also lost one staff member, so we saved on his salary as he took a full-time position in Paramus. Unfortunately, I thought of him as a key part of the future of the department. I would like to be able to replace him at some point and hopefully get somebody as good as him. He will need to be replaced, especially if the workload increases. And I anticipate that it will. It looks like there's some big projects coming along this year again, and that's going to increase the workload and increase the revenue. I envision a successful year for Teaneck as we recover from this absolutely terrible, awful 2020. And that's about it for me.
All right. Thanks so much, Mark. Your staff does an excellent job. I appreciate your hard work and keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Next is another person that did yeoman's work during the COVID-19 crisis, the township's health officer, Mr. Ken Catter. Ken?
Bringing in Mr. Catter now. You should be able to unmute now, Ken.
I've got it, Doug. Is it good?
Yes, you sound great.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, so good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Ken Catter. I'm the health officer for the Township of Teaneck. I am now in my 29th year working for the Township. The Health Department is a mandated department under Title 26 of the New Jersey State Administrative Code and through local ordinance. The Health Department is comprised of three main parts: health, vital statistics, and social services. Up until recently, we had 8 full-time and 1 part-time staff member. However, in the last 2 weeks, we are now down from 8 full-timers to 6 full-timers. 1 retired and 1 found employment elsewhere, and today was that employee's last day. So we're down 25% in the last 2 weeks. Right now, we also contract for public health education and public health nursing with Holy Name Medical Center. We contract with Bergen County for animal control, and we contract with Vantage for social services provision. Some of the programs and services that we offer all year round: animal and rabies control, licensing, restaurant inspections, disease investigations, flu clinics, child health clinics, property maintenance, child-led investigations, as I mentioned, nursing, coordination of the Safety Committee, Employee Wellness Committee, and the Drug Alliance, pest control on public properties, residential rental inspections, interior housing complaints, including hot water, lack of heat, infestation, mold, things like that. We are a branch of the department, the Office of Emergency Management, when it comes to initiating and opening up shelters and warming centers, code enforcement, inspection of bathing facilities, schools, daycare centers, noise complaints, environmental complaints, and much more. Last year, when I we all presented back in, I believe, February, I was able to give you an update on coronavirus at that time. At that time, we had 60 cases nationally, 0 in Teaneck, 0 in New Jersey, and the closest state that had one was Massachusetts that had 1. So a year later, I really, there's no need to describe it. Everybody knows where we're at. All I could say is, for my staff, particularly, it's been a devastating year, fatigue-wise, stress-wise. It's just been a very hard year. We've made, I'm just going to guess, 8,000 to 10,000 phone calls between contact tracing, travel advisory. When people come in on airplanes from out of state, out of the country, we have to call them. Every case may have 4, 5, 6 contacts that have to be reached. Updating databases all day, bringing Manager Kaczynski data and stats on a daily basis, meeting with the Board of Ed, doing conference calls with the town, daily conference calls with the state, the governor's office, weekly meetings, sometimes daily meetings with my colleagues in other communities. We've had to deal with the executive orders, outdoor dining, enforcing executive orders, people wearing masks, not wearing masks, you name it. We've done it all. We've been through it all, and we really have done it with no additional staff. I've had staff work many hours. The first 6 weeks of the coronavirus, I was working 14-hour days. Not a big deal for a lot of people. But when you go to sleep at 11 o'clock and you're woken up every night at 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock every night, they're transporting a COVID patient. This hospital received a COVID patient. Very stressful. And I'm glad to say that it looks like we're heading in the right direction with COVID. Manager Kaczynski's done an amazing job as our town administrator. So I want to thank him for being very supportive. and doing a great job and working with Holy Name to set up the clinics that we have. And I really want to thank my staff that's here and the few staff members that left for working with me, supporting me, and doing what they did for the township. And that's pretty much it.
All right, great.
All
Ken.
right, thank you.
Again, thanks so much for all your efforts, your staff's efforts, and you guys really performed admirably, and I appreciate it very much. Next, again, is someone that's involved in emergency services, first responder, and it was a difficult year for them as well. A lot of unknowns when COVID first came out, but they did an excellent job in being first responders, providing safety, security for our residents. And I'd like to introduce Chief Glenn O'Reilly.
Bringing him in, give him 1 second.
Okay, Doug, can you hear me?
Chief, loud and clear.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, Mr. Manager, fellow department heads, and members of the public. I am Glenn M. O'Reilly, Chief of Police. I am in my 30th year with the department, my 5th as chief. On behalf of the men and women of the Teaneck Police Department, I want to thank you for your time this evening. It is the mission of the Teaneck Police Department to safeguard the lives and property of the people we serve, to reduce the incidence and fear of crime, and to enhance public safety while working with diverse communities to improve their quality of life. We will do so with honor and integrity, while at all times conducting ourselves to the highest ethical standards to maintain public confidence. The Teaneck Police Department is currently authorized for 97 sworn officers, 15 civilian support staff, 2 parking enforcement officers, 25 school crossing guards, and 15 auxiliary officers. We operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We're always on duty. 2020, we dealt with the COVID-19 pandemic. Our officers continued to work through the pandemic at a time when very little was known about the virus. They were true professionals. Several members of our department contracted this disease. Luckily, all of them survived. We also handled several large demonstrations related to social justice. These events were handled without incident. I am very proud of all the men and women of the Teaneck Police Department. The budget for the police department was crafted over several months and considers the needs of the department, the level of service our residents expect, and the impact it has on the overall budget of the township. We continually strive to provide the best law enforcement services to the public. Pedestrian safety and hometown security remain top priorities for us. We again are looking to reduce the number of pedestrians struck by motor vehicles through education and enforcement. That unfortunately was not done a whole lot in 2020. We will always look for innovative ways to provide our services, and we will continue to work with the community to better understand their needs. This budget will allow us to maximize our efforts towards these goals while maintaining fiscal responsibility. Thank you again, and I look forward to answering any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief, so much. Again, I appreciate everything that you do and the department does for the town. Next, I have Chief Jordan Zaretsky from the Fire Department. Chief.
There we go. Hello?
We got you.
Okay. Good evening, Dean, Mayor, Council, John. My name is Jordan Zaretsky. I'm the fire chief in Teaneck. It's 26 years with the fire department. It's my 4th year now as a fire chief. And I thought I'd just spend a minute or two explaining where the fire department is, sort of in a past, present, and future perspective. First of all, in terms of the past, obviously 2020 with the COVID pandemic was a very unique year in our history. The fire department was sort of uniquely situated and organized for the pandemic. We had planned for infectious disease protocols for the Ebola crisis, which was several years prior. So as a result of that, we had a lot of personal protective equipment and stuff like that we were able to then share with, for example, the hospital when they were in great need of N95 masks. We were able to go into our stockpile and share with them. So I'm really proud of us for having had to put that together, and obviously part of our budget going forward will be in replacing those materials. One of the things that our department did was we were obviously being in Teaneck, we were sort of at the forefront of this thing, and we led the fire department statewide. So we established a lot of protocols and a lot of documents to support those protocols that we then shared statewide. I want to say thank you to the council for the new apparatus that we've now put in service. I've been thinking about it from the perspective of it'll be really good to have trucks that we can trust and stuff like that, but there's a secondary part of it, and that is that we no longer have to worry about, well, as much about how we're going to maintain the trucks that we have. So it allows us some freedom in our time, which then allows us to think about other things that we need to start working on. And I'm proud to say that one of the things that's going on right now is we're right in the midst or in the early parts of a shared services grant that we're sharing with the Hackensack and Eggwood Fire Departments. We got $500,000 last year to participate in a training event with those two departments, which will result in our guys being trained really in, you wouldn't think that fire service has cutting edge techniques that we might use on a day-to-day basis, but literally there are cutting edge techniques that we are learning as a result of that FEMA grant. And I present that as evidence that the world is somewhat turning back to a normal place where we're starting to focus again on the fire service protective stuff that we do as opposed to only the infectious disease stuff. Thank you.
Thanks, Jordan. I appreciate all the hard work you and the men and women of the Teaneck Fire Department do on a daily basis. It's very much appreciated. Keep up the great work. Next, I have James Ty, the Township's tax assessor. James?
Bringing him in, give him just a second. There he is. James Ty. Got to unmute there, sir.
Okay, you can hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, good evening, everyone. James Ty here. I'm the tax assessor for the Township of Teaneck. I've been with the township since 1998. That's 23 years with Teaneck. Been through 2 revaluations, 5+ years of 1,000 to 2,000 appeals at the County Board of Taxation, and now 1 global pandemic. Not to sound glib about it, but the global pandemic, as far as the tax assessor's office, was probably the least traumatic event of this time, 23 years. We are a 2-person office. It's staffed by myself and an assessing assistant. We are responsible for determining the taxable status and assessed value for each property in municipality, so that taxes can be levied, and then the collector makes her collections on a quarterly basis. In addition to that, we identify properties that are going to be exempt, new property owners who are from exempt organizations. We review their applications. We determine whether they qualify for exempt status. We create and maintain the township's central database of properties for new property owners. We approve and process requests for senior, disabled, and veteran deductions. We also inspect and reassess properties upon completion of new construction or any other physical change like demolition, fire, etc. And we produce a added assessment list each year so that we can get additional taxes when these properties are improved. We also defend the township's position at tax appeal hearings before the County Board of Taxation and the Tax Court of New Jersey. We prepare 200-foot radius lists of property owners for the Planning Board. And we also process all new deeds that come in to see, once again, to update that tax database. We have a current taxable value of about $5.18 billion. Even though we did have the pandemic issues and the restraints that are placed on our office, we did manage to produce 134 added assessments, adding a prorated assessed value of $38 million to our tax rolls, which resulted in an additional $1.2 million of tax collections for 2020, of which $1,068,337 went to the Township of Teaneck, and $152,300 was paid to the County of Bergen. So despite the limitations due to the pandemic, we were able to continue functioning. We also had 160 appeals that we handled at the County Board of Taxation. They also were affected by the events of 2020, so all of those were handled through a phone conferencing, which is the first time they've ever done that, but went pretty smoothly. The problem was they had extended the tax appeal deadline to July 1st from April 1st, which meant that the appeal hearings were delayed till October. Judgments didn't come out till December, so the tax collector was still processing payments and refunds and things like that at the end of the tax year. But that was the biggest inconvenience wrought by the pandemic as far as the tax assessor's office is concerned. That would be about it. As I said, we did add a significant amount to the tax base. Last year, in 2020, we had a total taxable base of 5.152 billion. We managed to increase that to 5.188 billion for 2021.
Okay. Thanks so much, James. I appreciate everything as well. Next is another department head that had a very challenging year, and between the tropical storms, COVID, staff that were infected, managed to get through it, did a great job, continues to do a great job, and that is Mr. Kevin Arahill, our Director of Public Works. Kevin?
Kevin had his hand up. He was ready. He was anticipating.
Nice. I saw his hand up.
Kevin, need to unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear, sir.
Okay, good evening. Good evening, Mayor, Council, Mr. Manager. I'm Kevin Arrow, Director of Public Works, and I appreciate the time to speak tonight. I've been the Director of Public Works for about 2 years now. I have been employed by the township for 29 years, starting in 1992 as the township electrician. I currently hold certificates as a certified public works manager, a certified recycling professional, a certified pool operator, and also a New Jersey licensed master electrician. Our Department of Public Works is comprised of 5 departments. The Public Works is responsible for the maintenance of public areas and facilities within the township. One division is the Streets and Sanitation Division. Division is responsible for 124 miles of roadway, both county and municipal, snow plowing and snow removal operations. The division cleans and sweeps all county and municipal roads, municipal parking lots, collects leaves on all roadways and parks, garden debris, and trash from public receptacles and public buildings. We also provide curbside pickup of recyclables from all residences. Additionally, the division installs and maintains traffic signs, street signs, and roadway markings, including crosswalks and striping of parking stalls. The sewer division handles routine maintenance, video line inspection, and repair of nearly 170 miles of sanitary and storm drain sewers, and more than 5,700 manholes, catch basins, culverts, and head walls. The garage division provides preventive maintenance and repair for 71 public works vehicles and 182 pieces of mechanical equipment, 57 police vehicles, and 6 pieces of mechanical equipment. 27 fire vehicles, 27 pieces of equipment in that department, 4 recreation vehicles, 3 pieces of equipment also in that department, 1 library vehicle, and we service 11 backup generators throughout the township. Under a shared service agreement, Public Works serviced and maintained 30 Board of Education vehicles and 6 additional pieces of equipment within their department. This agreement reduced repair costs, increased vehicle and service time for them. The Parks and Tree Division. The division, a very busy department, maintains 25 local parks encompassing 225 acres of parkland, including all ball fields and playgrounds, and more than 20,000 street trees, along with public trees and grounds of municipal facilities. Additionally, the division maintains approximately 200 township-owned lots. And a maintenance division who had a very busy year with COVID. But besides that, the division provides maintenance for public facilities, including the maintenance of the following: lighting in all municipal parking lots and athletic fields, including basketball, tennis, soccer, and baseball. All public bus stop shelters in all state and county and municipal roadways. Fire alarm systems in all municipal buildings, water lines to the greenhouse, ball fields, and park water fountains. Of course, the new field house is included in there. All fire extinguishers in township-owned buildings, parking lot meters, heating and air conditioning, plumbing, and electrical systems in all municipal buildings. Lightning detection system within township parks, traffic signs, road marking, and traffic lights on municipal roads. Also included is the municipal fire alarm system for the pole boxes on the streets and some businesses. This year, added to that was to make all township buildings COVID compliant for both the public and the workforce. Additionally, they had to make COVID compliant park areas and playgrounds for the public. And that's about all I have. Any questions? I'd be more than willing to answer.
No, that's plenty of information, Kevin. Again, very challenging year. We had to think outside the box. We had to make sure that, again, like you said, our parks, playgrounds, other areas were safe, our vehicles were safe. So again, I thank you very much for your efforts and that of your staff. Next, I have the Teaneck Court Administrator, Mr. Craig Ferdinand. Craig?
Hello, Craig. Feel free to unmute, my friend.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir.
Good evening, Doug. Good evening, Dean, and good evening to you all in the Mayor and Council. My name is Craig Ferdinand. I'm the Court Administrator for the Teaneck Municipal Court. This month begins my 5th year employed with the township and my 20th year with the New Jersey court system. The Municipal Court is responsible for the processing and adjudication of all violations filed by various agencies that occur within the township's boundaries. Our staff is comprised of our 2 judges, myself as the court administrator, a deputy court administrator, and 4 full-time clerks. Unfortunately, our deputy court administrator resigned in February, so I look forward to working closely with our manager as we discuss how to fill this position. As is certainly true for all of us, the court experienced many changes because of the ongoing pandemic. In the beginning of it, we canceled all of our court sessions from mid-March on and did not begin conducting court again until June. As I said, we did have many changes because of the pandemic, but we have fully been able to acclimate to them. We've become accustomed to assisting our customers virtually, emailing forms and paperwork to attorneys and litigants, scheduling appointments for the filing of complaints, and for our litigants to make payments. The greatest change we saw in 2020 was the implementation of virtual court. As a staff, we trained with the Zoom platform to conduct our court sessions. Although it was a drastic change to our normal procedure, we have fully adjusted to this. The platform of virtual court afforded the staff of the court, as well as our litigants, residents, and others, to remain as safe as possible, as no parties besides court staff, the judge, and a police security officer are present in the courtroom at any one time. Virtual court will remain the primary way all municipal courts in New Jersey conduct our court sessions in 2021 until further order and direction from the administrative office. Approval of the assignment judge of Bergen County will be required if the court intends to conduct in-person trials, and those events will only be conducted if they involve consequences of magnitude. The court processed 10,174 cases in 2020, and we disposed 8,144. This is down nearly 58% from 2019. Also in 2020, we turned over just under $280,000 to the township. This unfortunately represents a 55% reduction in revenue as compared to 2019. Unfortunately, because the New Jersey Supreme Court and the administrative office of the courts have revoked the court's ability to issue failure to appear notices, bench warrants, delinquent time payment notices, proposed suspension notices, and driver's license suspensions. We have been unable to communicate with our defendants, and we have been unable to resolve a high number of our cases that remain pending and active. With these tools lacking, it has hindered the court's ability to collect any outstanding debts due to the court. As always, thank you for your time and have a good night. That's all I have.
All right, Craig, thank you so much as well. Next, I have Teaneck's Library Director, Mr. Alan.
Dean, I'm so sorry. Your name was right next to Craig's. Let me bring you back in.
I think he's 3 minutes are up.
Yeah, sorry, Dean. Oh, I'm sorry.
Is that a motion to adjourn? Motion, zero budget. Okay, good. Yeah.
Sorry, Dean. You're muted. You're muted there. Craig was right on top of you on the list there, and I accidentally just.
All right, that's the worst thing that happens. We're in good shape tonight.
Yeah.
So next is Teaneck's Library Director, Mr. Alan McGinley. And again, Alan has done some wonderful things during the course of the pandemic. Very innovative and provides an excellent service to our residents. So Mr. McGinley, you're on.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayors, and Council members. My name is Alan McGinley, and I am your Library Director. Teaneck Public Library gives residents access to materials, electronic resources, services, and experiences that create opportunities for lifelong learning and help them to improve the quality of their lives. The library owns 109,000 books, movies, and other physical materials, in addition to 66,000 ebooks. The library also provides Teaneck residents with access to 4.8 million books, movies, and other physical materials through the Bergen County Cooperative Library System. Even during the pandemic year of 2020, Teaneck residents borrowed more than 292,000 items, including the 64,000 materials that we shipped in from other libraries for our residents, and 65,000 ebooks and other digital materials Teaneck residents borrowed through our website. Our ebook usage grew by 99% last year. We offered more than 300 events, and our attendance actually went up 58% during 2020 to over 15,000. There are currently more than 29,000 residents with active library cards. The library is one of the unique places in a community where everyone comes together to read, learn, connect, and grow. As our community rebounds from the economic impact of the pandemic, the library will be ready to help get residents back on their feet with personal and professional development resources like our new LinkedIn Learning database. Thank you to the Council for your ongoing support as we work together to build a more informed, connected, and engaged community.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you so much. Appreciate everything that you do. Next is a person I work very closely with, and actually him and I were trying to get this budget done, and I think we finished up about 4:30 today. Does a great job for me. I always appreciate his help, and that's our CFO, Mr. Isa Abbasi.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, good evening, Mayor, Council, Department Heads. Isa Abbasi, your Chief Financial Officer since May of 2019. I begin my 12th year with the township next month, thankfully. It's been a journey that the days are long and the years are short, as they say, for parenthood. Under my tutelage are 2 accountants, a senior payroll clerk, the tax collector, deputy tax collector, a tax clerk, and a part-time tax clerk. The Department of Finance is responsible for effectively maintaining the financial administration of the township and overseeing its resources. The CFO supervises the Division of Finance, Tax Collection, and Division of Payroll. The Finance Department also reviews departments' deposits and expenditures on a daily basis in coordination with the Purchasing Department and attempts to remit payments as swiftly as possible to the township's vendors once receipt of goods or satisfactory delivery of services are certified. While last year was a historic year for this global pandemic, it's felt like it was a never-ending hamster wheel. And I say that because finance was pushed to the forefront of everything, because behind every need was the dollar to fund it. Thankfully, though, in 2020, the finance department, in coordination with our department heads, was able to accomplish some really monumental goals. One of them, with the township manager's assistant and labor attorney, was settling four unions expired contracts, which expired at the end of 2019. One was awarding a bid to two banking institutions, which happened earlier this year, that we plan on transitioning to later this year. And another was bonding $13.82 million at a record low interest rate of 1.343% over the next 13 years. For this coming year, our main goals include transitioning our banking services out of Bank of America to Pagoda Savings Bank and First Commerce Bank, settling one currently expired union contract from the end of 2020, and beginning discussions on settling 6 expiring contracts at the end of this year, finalizing merchant service payment options with new banking institutions or other vendors. And, you know, one of my things as a child, they ask you what animal you'd like to be, has been a bear. And with that, I like to use my claws to claw back funds. So with the help of our purchasing agent, Simona, who I can't thank enough, it made it really easy for my work to help recoup almost $200,000 from the COVID-19 pandemic. And with that being said, our fourth goal this year is to continue that recuperation process of money from the federal government, in addition to over $500,000 from FEMA for Hurricane Isaias recovery. With that being said, I'd like to turn over back to the manager and the clerk. I just want to say one thing. The manager and I spent weeks upon weeks, days upon days, crafting this budget. We understand the needs of the council towards the residents and our needs for our fiduciary responsibilities. We do not take that lightly. And I don't want to steal his thunder, but you know, it was done with thoughtful and it was done with TLC, I should say. But I'll let Dean show that to everyone in his presentation.
All right, thanks so much, Issa. Say hello to Adam for me. And it's past his bedtime. So again, I appreciate everything that you do for us and your staff as well. Next person I want to introduce is someone I work very closely with on a daily basis. A big help to me, my office, the town, is our township attorney from our legal department, Mr. John Shadanian. John?
Thank you, Mr. Manager, and good evening to everyone, council members, mayor, members of the public. The law department, as everybody knows, sort of touches on every single aspect that goes on in the township. Specifically, we oversee the lawyers, obviously, who are in my firm that work on TNEC matters, the prosecutors, and the special counsel that are retained by the township. We interact, though, with every department, and during the course of the year, there's almost no place that we don't touch and deal with, and as well as with the boards and the commissions. I'm proud to say that we have another year under our belt with no major litigation or litigation expenses. Under the leadership of the township manager, Mr. Kaczynski, the town has really navigated, and the town has really navigated through a very difficult time, and one that is affecting other towns and boroughs and municipalities in much harder ways than TNEC. And what I mean by that is that they're not managed as well as TNEC is managed, and that they're having more difficulty with what's going on. In addition to assisting the manager with the litigation issues, we're also, as the law department, very much involved, and with the CFO who just commented on it, Mr. Abbasi, the personnel and labor matters in the town. And as Mr. Abbasi mentioned, we've very successfully been able to negotiate a number of contracts, especially recently, and extend certain contracts during the pandemic, which allowed the township to save money, keep the employee morale up, and maintain a fiscally prudent budget. We are dealing in COVID with the unprecedented situation. It's cliche to say that now, and we've gone through a year that we'll probably hopefully never go through again. And with that, a series and myriad of legal issues that in my 25 years I never thought I'd be dealing with, and including new laws governing employees' leave time, and governing how to address whether or not someone is COVID positive, and whether that's a workers' comp case or whether that's on them. There are a whole series of laws that affect our workforce that we've had to deal with in the last year. And that's been a major change and something that the law departments had to deal with and grapple with on a day in and day out basis to give advice to the manager and the various department heads. With that said, I'm looking forward to another year of keeping Teaneck out of court and making sure that we keep the progress going. Thank you.
Thanks, John. And I think it's important to note too that, the township has not suffered any employment litigation. The suits that we used to face many years ago in over a decade. And for a town our size, I just think that's fantastic. Everyone has done a wonderful job. The next person I want to introduce, and I believe he's on, is my new deputy manager, Tom Rowe. So Tom, if you're on, if you want to say a few words, please feel free to do so. Here he is. Just need to unmute, Tom. There you go.
Hey, Dean, can you hear me?
Yes.
Just want to thank everybody for being great to me. Started on February 1st, which was, of course, was a blizzard. Been at the Rhoda Center, as you know, most of the time, helping to get our residents and out-of-town residents vaccinated. Today we did 2,100. It's just every day I'm at the Rhoda Center, I'm completely in awe of the operation, the great public partnership between Holy Name Hospital and the township. Again, just want to thank everybody for being great to me. Love working for the township, and thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom. Tom has done a great job up at the Rhoda Center, helping to manage that in my absence. Has given me certainly a lot more time to do some of the things I should be doing as manager. He'll be handling a lot of the HR functions, personnel matters, workers' comp, JIF matters, civil service, OSHA matters. So Tom is going to be a big help. He's very familiar with that, and I appreciate his service. The next person, last but not least, actually is somebody that needs no introduction, and that is our very own Township Clerk, Doug Roussillon. Doug.
Hello, Dean, our township manager, mayor, council, department heads, residents of Teaneck, and members of the public. If you're not from Teaneck, hello, my name is Doug Roussillon. I'm the township clerk in Teaneck. And just like the township attorney said, very similar with our office, we have our hands in almost every basket here in the township. I just want to remind everybody the core duties of the municipal clerk, according to NJSA Title 40A, Chapter 9, Section 133. I am the secretary of the municipal corporation, the secretary of the governing body, chief administrator officer of all elections, chief registrar of voters. I'm an administrative officer of the municipality, records coordinator and manager. And believe it or not, the last duty listed in the statute is literally other duties, which might as well just be Oprah requests. As we all know, our office deals with many Oprah requests. We handle the maintenance of records. As I said, we handle all the elections in the township. I prepare the agendas and handle the minutes for all of our council meetings. And right now we have an amazing A-team in the clerk's office. We have our first deputy township clerk, Miss Kristen DeNorcha. We have John McCallum, a Teaneck resident, as well as Kristen. And we have Miss Karen Guerrero, a part-timer in our office. We provide a vast amount of services to the public, including the issuance of parking decals and various licenses. We fulfill our Oprahs, and serving as a secretary to the governing body of municipal corporation, we help facilitate numerous types of events, and we help assist residents upon their initial contact to the municipality for service requests of all kinds. 2020 was a very busy year for our office. Aside from handling the craziness of COVID and having to adapt many of our day-to-day operations to a technological format, one of which being where we are right now, our Zoom council meetings, which I must say I think have been running pretty swimmingly since we had to make this transition. As everybody knows, it's no surprise it was a presidential election year last year, which was certainly an interesting experience for all of us involved, given the kind of restrictions that were set in place by our state government and how to run elections. Also, we had a municipal election last year. So we had to deal with 3 elections during the pandemic. And I have to say, with the matters that were in our control, I think that our office, all of the township officials who helped, I think that we ran a pretty good election year. This year, thankfully, our budget is going to be looking a little slimmer because we don't have a municipal election to worry about this year. As everybody knows, or if you don't know, that adds a good couple tens of thousands of dollars to the clerk's office budget every year. The need for legal ads and prints for ballots, so on and so forth. It causes a big expense for us. This year, we are really hoping to just try and ease things back into allowing the public in. As many people know, we are by appointment right now. One of the biggest things about my job that I love is dealing with all the different residents of Teaneck and all the members of public. That has changed a lot in the last year since we aren't able to meet face to face, but needless to say, we're still getting it all done. Our department heads, the township organization, we have worked together in a very heroic state this past year. And I'm really looking forward to seeing that all transition once we're back in person and we can get things moving the way that this township deserves. And really, that's all I have to report right now, Dean. So I think that although you said I was the best for last, I think really what we're all waiting for is the big PowerPoint.
Sure, very nice. Yes, if I had the power to cut you off, you went past your time limit.
I hope that
comment to my office. So, Mayor, what I'd like to do now, of course, is have Ron Goodman share the screen for my proposed 2021 municipal budget, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, Ron. And Ron, I'll just tell you when to move forward. Again, as I mentioned, Mayor, Council, this is a responsible budget that continues to provide excellent services, addresses some of our infrastructure needs, and keeps our finances stable. This slide, Ron, next. This slide explains the budget preparation process, which actually started in September of 2020, where the CFO and I took department head requests. We reviewed those requests. We had public hearings in November of 2020. There was public input at a couple council meetings in February on the 9th and 23rd for public input. Myself, the CFO, the auditor conducted a review of the budget, and that leads us to tonight's presentation to council of the proposed budget appropriations and estimated revenues. Ron, next slide. So the budget process, again, council is going to review the budget in this month of March. We have the CFO, the auditor's revenue and tax levy cap projections. That's part of this. The CFO auditor's review and recommendations. The manager's budget to council. Revised statutory date is February 26th, or the next regularly scheduled meeting, which of course is tonight. The council is going to introduce the budget by the revised statutory date of March 30th, or the next meeting, which brings us to April 13th. The hearing and adoption of the budget by revised statutory date of April 30th, or the next meeting for us, which would be May 11th. Ron? So the 2021 budget is dependent upon the council determination of 2021 municipal budget appropriations, the fund balance, also known as surplus, which is available for 2020, the 2020 municipal revenues analysis, and the 2021 revenue anticipations, state aid allocation for 2021, and special emergency financing for terminal leave. So that's our assumptions for the 2021 budget. So appropriation versus revenues versus rate. Appropriations is defined, of course, as what the municipality intends to spend on operations. The revenues is defined as what the municipality earns through our various fees and the collections of taxes, municipal taxes. The rate is defined as the amount of taxes to be raised, the net property valuation, which is the total value of all properties in the township. Simply stated, the best way to explain this, the tax rate is a percentage of your property value that you are taxed on. Next is you got to go back one, Ron. Appropriation cap versus levy cap. So just a little bit about the appropriation cap that was enacted in 1977. Originally capped budget appropriations increases at the cost of living COLA. The maximum cost of living adjustment is 3.5% and requires the adoption of a capped bank ordinance. The ordinance allows the township to bank a cushion if needed for future unanticipated expenditures that would be above the appropriations cap. Now, the levy cap was enacted in 2007, amended in 2010 to 2%, and modified certain exclusions. So the exclusions, Ron, the next slide. No, actually, the exclusions from the 2010, I don't think the slide is there. The exclusions from the 2010 levy cap include increases in debt service and capital expenditures, weather and other declared emergencies, pension contributions in excess of 2%, health benefit cost increases in excess of 2% and limited by the increase in state health benefits rate increases. So these are the exclusions from the 2010 levy cap that can go up. All right, the 2020 tax breakdown. So this is the 2020 breakdown. The proposed budget refers to municipal portion of taxes only. All taxes, of course, are paid to and collected by the tax collection office. Taxes are forwarded to all taxing entities bi-weekly, quarterly. They include the Board of Education, the County of Bergen, Open Space, a little bit about history with the tax breakdown comparison. It was 38% in 1943. It's 32% in 2020. The graph shows where this money is at and the percentages that we pay for the school levy, which is 57%, municipal levy 32%, library at 1.3%, the county levies at 9%, open space at 0.4%, and the municipal open space levy at 0.3%. Next slide, Ron. So these are the known impacts on the 2021 budget. We know there's an increase in police fire retirement system. We know there's an increase in the public employee retirement system payments. There's an increase in the public entity joint insurance fund costs. There is a big increase in the recycling disposal costs. There's extra money in this budget for tree trimming. There's, of course, an increase in contractual obligations to employees. There's an increase in our debt service. And right now, there are we'll be negotiating with 6 different labor unions whose contracts expire the end of 2021. Next slide, Ron. The proposed 2021 municipal budget, it's not a zero. This is a percentage I feel meets our needs and is responsible, provides the services to our residents, improves infrastructure, and keeps our finances stable. So I'm proposing a tax rate increase of 2.5%. So the average home in Teaneck is assessed at $387,405 per year. It will be an increase of $105.47 per month. It's $8.79. The definition of your tax levy is budget appropriations minus the revenues. So again, 2.5, again, I believe is very responsible and provides everything that we needed to do for 2021. Next slide, Ron. This is how we arrived at the 2.5% tax rate increase. Some of the factors were special emergency financing for 2021 terminal leave payments. We made our second payment for 2019. The first payment for 2020 is in this budget, and we will be using the special emergency financing. It makes sense to do that for 2021. Terminal leave payments, I don't think we're going to see as many retirements this year and the following year. That's my prediction. There was a reduction in salary and wages by $387,600. And that was due to breakage, delayed hirings, attrition. And that's, again, a lot has to do with the retirements this year and last year. Utilized an additional $1 million in surplus through cancellation of unspent 2020 appropriations. We're on next slide. And this was due to, again, as I mentioned, I keep harping on this, responsible spending by department heads and our dedicated attention to the procurement of items by a purchasing agent, reimbursement of COVID CARES money. Again, early on in March, April, we instituted non-discretionary spending. It worked for us. And again, the department heads were very frugal. We only purchased items that were truly essential, and that significantly helped us out in our 2021 budget. This budget also includes some funding for a potential agreement with the Teaneck Swim Club to provide a swimming pool for our residents. It's a recommendation that the Voti Park built-in pool not open this year. And we maintained or reduced operating expenses for all municipal departments. Next slide, Ron. We also reduced our 2021 capital program. The BCUA, Bergen County Utilities Authority, there was a reduction of 4%, which was great news. We thought it would come in a little bit higher, but I think a lot had to do with the hotels having very, very minimal visitors, the college being for the most part closed. So that certainly helped out. So that was a reduction by 4%. Also, again, I just want to commend the unions as well that I negotiated contracts with. We did delayed retroactive payments to the expired labor contract. So instead of getting that retro from January 1st of 2020, they accepted retro from July 1st until December 31st, 2020, and that was a big help as well. The proposed budget includes additional tree removal funds and does not disrupt any service. Next slide, Ron. Today, of course, everyone knows the president signed the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. It's a $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan Act, which would potentially provide Teaneck with $3.957 million. Half of the funds have to be dispersed within 60 days of the enactment, and the other half will be dispersed in 2022. According to this plan, the funds must be used by December 31st, 2024. Projected that funds will be utilized for revenue shortfalls due to the COVID-19 pandemic, just between the hotel, court, recreation, some from building, and some other areas. We were looking at about a $2.7 million revenue shortfall. And these conditions, of course, are subject to change until we receive final guidance. So the money should go to the state of New Jersey, and the state will disperse it to the 565 municipalities and all the counties in the state. Next slide, Ron. This is the 2021 proposed budget appropriation categories. The biggest one, of course, is salary and wages at 49%, equivalent to $35,426,000. Next is other expenses, which includes department expenses, utilities, insurance. That's 31% of the budget. Then on the bottom triangle is deferred statutory, 9.7 million. That includes your pension payments to PFRS, PERS, and defined contribution retirement plan. So that pie chart just shows you, gives you an idea where the budget appropriation categories are at and the percentages that are needed. Next slide. Proposed salary and wages. Again, this breaks it all down for everyone. And this PowerPoint will be put up on the website tomorrow. Rest assured it will be there. You have police, which accounts for 35%. That's at 12,400,000. Fire is the next big one at 10,125,000, or 29% of the budget. DPW is at 4.79 million, or 14%. And that kind of breaks everything down on that slide where the salary and wages, the percentage goes. Next slide. This is salary and wage increases required by union contract. So 58% or 20,570,000 is under binding arbitration, and that covers public safety. And then you have the other unions under contract, which accounts for 10,557,000 or 30%. And then you have the 12% of salary and wages of 4,118,000, which covers the excluded employees, managerial, executive, confidential. Next slide, Ron. Just reviews the collective bargaining agreements currently in place. As you can see, there's only one that is not settled, and that should be settled shortly, and that's with the DPW supervisors. Everyone else either expires the end of this year or in 2023. Next slide, Ron. This slide covers salaries and wages, summary and recommendations for the different departments. I'm going to start out with Public Works. The recommendations, they do have some open positions. Right now, the recommendations are going to be to fill 2 vacant labor positions, to fill 1 vacant position with a plumber, fill 1 vacant position with a carpenter, and fill the last position with a tree climber. These positions are desperately needed. We need some specialized positions, again, and that's why we're trying to find a plumber that can do some of our work, another carpenter. Justin Pirelli is in charge of maintenance. He is a master carpenter, but he certainly needs some help, so I'm trying to get him that carpenter position. And of course, the tree division needs another tree climber. Again, we're not creating new positions. These are positions that currently exist. There's going to be some title changes, and these are the ones that I think are desperately needed and will be filled in 2021. Next slide, Ron. This covers the police department. My recommendations for 2021. Again, they have an authorized strength via ordinance of 115 right now. The current table of organization provides for 97 sworn officers. Last year, we created those 2 positions to take them from generally 95 to 97. The plan is to fill 5 positions on or about July 1st. I believe the police academy starts the 2nd week or 3rd week in July, and that will bring the table of organization to 95. There are 2 officers retiring on August 1st. Those positions will not be replaced right away. They will be placed into the academy in January of 2022. Next slide, Ron. And this covers salary and wages for the fire department. So the 2021 recommendations, they have an authorized strength of 92, but their current table of organization provides for 91 firefighters. Their current strength is 87. The plan is to fill 2 positions on or after July 1st. Those other 2 firefighter positions will be added in January 2022. Again, some of these decisions for me were very difficult. I know the police fire may not be at full strength, but to get to the percentage of 2.5, there were some decisions that had to be made as far as delayed starts, hires, not only for police and fire, but that includes, and I'll go over this with the health department, with the court, and some other departments that I have yet to cover yet. So the next slide, Ron, is our finance department. 2021 recommendation is to convert 1 of the 2 accountant positions to a deputy CFO position. We have an accountant that does wonderful work. There's really not too many people that can do some of the things she can do with retro reporting, with some of the other pension requirements. She is in the process of achieving her CMFO certification, and I'd like to convert that title from accountant to deputy CFO. Next slide, Ron. Next is the health department. We have the 2021 recommendations. We recently had the retirement of Laura Turnbull. She was the registrar for the township for many, many years. Laura, I believe, was with us, I think 35 plus years. I promoted the deputy registrar to the acting registrar. My intentions are to fill that deputy registrar position on or about July 1st. And also we had a recent transfer of an employee to another municipality. Her last day was today. And again, her title was Registered Environmental Health Specialist. My plan is to fill that position on or after July 1st. Again, these delays, I know there's a sacrifice to be made, but certainly helped out with getting us to where we needed to be, where Issa and I needed to be with the budget. The other thing I've spoken about for a while is the social services specialist position. We have Vantage Health. The idea right now is to replace Vantage Health on July 1st and make that a full-time position the way it was for many years, and to fill that social services position with through a process through civil service. This is a civil service title, and I will make application to civil service if the budget is approved to see if there is an acting list. If not, we will be able to hire someone as a provisional appointment, and hopefully they will meet all the requirements and be officially appointed through the civil service process after that. So again, the intent is to make social services full-time on or slightly after July 1st. The court office, Ron, next slide. We are deputy court administrator, again, recently transferred to Hoboken to take a position there. Again, that's going to be a position that we will also fill on or after July 1st. I have to work with the court administrator and the county. They have to be involved in this process as well. The county division manager and the judge as well. So we'll be filling that position on or after July 1st. Recreation Department. Again, this is my 2021 recommendations. In 2020, council had approved a full-time position for the senior center to transition one of the part-time people to full-time. Again, due to the COVID crisis, again, it just wasn't logical to do that. There was not a need at that time. So the recommendation is going to be to fill that position on September 1st and make one of the permanent part-time people full-time on or about September 1st. Again, this position was originally approved in the 2020 budget. Next slide, Ron. Next slide is the public library. The recommendations, Mr. McGinley had asked me for a digital librarian. I have this in here to fill on or after September 1st, 2021. Next slide, Ron. This is salary and wages, the summary and recommendations regarding terminal leave trust. As I mentioned, retirements, I believe, should slow down moving forward. Again, we're going to continue to utilize the 5-year special emergency financing to offset our terminal leave payments in 2021. It's the logical thing to do. It's been discussed over and over with the attorney, with the auditor, with our CFO, and that's the recommendation, and that's what I propose for 2021. So next slide, Ron. What are the special emergency appropriations? They're defined under NJSA 48-4-53, preparation of tax maps, revaluation, codification of ordinances, preparation of the master plan, drainage maps, flood control engineering, sanitary sewer system, municipal consolidation, severance liabilities, terminal leave pay, preparation of sanitary storm system maps, tax appeal refunds. Next slide. There you go, Ron. Is salary and wages for overtime. This is remaining flat in 2021. This slide shows with the fire, what I'm requesting for fire, DPW, and police. Again, that's flat. Police did go over, fire did go over. However, we have to take into account the emergencies that we had in 2020 between the tropical storm, COVID. We had demonstrations, we had special events. So we had people on quarantine from police and fire that resulted in overtime as well. So again, I think those numbers for the most part are very reasonable for 2020 that was spent. But in 2021, we're sticking with the same numbers that we requested in 2020. Next slide, Ron. This next slide gives you an idea of other expenses under appropriations. You can see utilities at $6.9 million. That covers 31%. Group insurance for employees at 5.6 million. Department operating expenses, which is the biggest one, that's at 34%, which is 7.6 million. You have the self-insurance fund at 6%, and of course, other insurance premiums at 840,000 at 3%. So this covers the other appropriation expenses. Next slide, Ron. Next one covers utilities, total of 6.9 million and change. The biggest one is Bergen County Utilities Authority, 68% of that budget, which is 4.685 million. You have electric, which is at 589,000, covers 9%. Street lighting is up, that's at 493,000 or 7%. Fire hydrants, water, again, 8%, 563,000. So that gives you a good idea of our utility expenses that we're going to face in 2021. Next slide, Ron. We're going to maintain our 2020 appropriation that covers Title 59 tort claims, workers' compensation claims, proposed settlements that need to be funded. Again, this is all covered over our contributions to the self-insurance fund. So we're going to maintain what we had in 2020, the appropriations, and that seemed to work out well. We're confident that that number is not going to change. Next slide, Ron. Other insurance premiums include our public entity joint insurance fund. There's an increase of $31,000. And just to know, I know it went up, but TNEC had the second lowest increase from the JIF because of our the level of responsibility that we have here with our safety, health programs, and minimal claims to our JIF. So 31,000, I know it is a lot, but it was the second lowest increase in all the municipalities that are in that JIF. Covers auto liability, collision, employment practices, public officials insurance, facility coverage, and of course, tank coverage. Next slide, Ron. This covers our debt service. The 2020 bond sale, we financed $13,280,000 at a percentage of 1.343. And that's fixed for life for the next 13 years, which is a very good interest rate. There was a slight reduction in the line item of our debt service due to a payoff. And that slide shows you where we're at with our debt service, $2,897,120, which is 4%. Next slide, Ron. And this covers what I mentioned earlier, our statutory expenditures. Again, we took a big increase in police fire retirement system at 9%. Public employee retirement system increased 8%. The defined contribution retirement plan increased $20,000, and that's 100%. So the total line item increased by $690,000 or 7.9%. And again, these increases were due to new increased life expectancy projections and a drop in the long-term investments by our pension fund. So again, this was a uncontrolled, we had no control over this, an added increase to our 2021 budget. Next slide, Ron. This covers the capital improvement fund. So the total cost of improvements for 2021 in capital is $4.93 million. And the down payment, of course, is $255,000, which is 5%. And again, I'm making a concerted effort to keep it below 5 million. We did it last year. We're doing it this year. And again, the items in capital are truly items that we need. That's going to improve on infrastructure, some equipment improvements, and some other things that the departments desperately need. Next slide. This is our estimated revenue slide. We have the surplus at 6.1 million. Delinquent taxes, $925,000. Our local revenue, which is 4.4 million. State revenue, 3.3. The municipal levy, of course, is $57,887 and 869 for a total revenue, $72,695,665. Next slide, Ron, which covers a breakdown of the estimated local revenue. Fees, permits, I think is the big one here at 32%. That's 1.387 million. Fees and permits in the building department, 1.25 million. Sewer use charges, 445,000, which is 10%. Just covering some of the big ones here. Fines and costs in the municipal court, 9%, 450,000. So this shows you the estimated local revenue, the percentages, the numbers of what we anticipate. Next slide, Ron. The estimated state revenue is remaining flat. That's at $3.379,296,000. Next slide, Ron. And these are the factors that are going to potentially impact the budget. Some of these we already covered. Special emergencies, terminal leave payouts, tax map, code recodification, the Glen Point tax appeal. We were in front of the local finance board the other day. They unanimously accepted our application. You have the pending Holy Name Medical Center tax appeal. The impact on tax appeals on a state and county level. We may see a possible reval in 2022. Interest rates, bond rating, flat state aid, labor contract negotiations, pension contribution increases, which I mentioned before. We're looking at the possibility of a new parking meter program through Park Mobile. We have the credit card acceptance through the awarding of a new banking institution. Workers' compensation, settlement claims, and again, a slight increase in the joint insurance fund costs. These are just some of the factors that are potentially impacting the 2021 budget. So the budget wrap up, again, the appropriations have to equal the revenue. The appropriation side is 72,695,665. The revenue side is 72,695,665. Next slide, Ron. Some of the short and long-term strategies, of course, is the credit card acceptance for court and other departments. That's going to be a big help. These are just some of them. Migrate funds to the newly contracted banking institutions. Cost containment, like we did in 2020. Discretionary spending freezes, which we already enacted in 2021. You know, folks were already experiencing revenue deficits. I don't see a lot changing right away for the first 6 months of 2021. So we need to be very frugal with what we do. We are still moving forward with the merging fire dispatch with the city of Hackensack. We're looking at the sale and development of selected municipally owned properties in town. Enhance the ratables through business attraction and development. Outsourcing our school crossing guard program. Improved infrastructure to attract economic development. Redevelopment of Alfred Avenue. Our debt management plan and pedestrian safety measures. Next slide, Ron. So this gives you an idea where we're at for Thursday, March 18th, which will be a review of the police department's budget, fire department's budget, public works budget, and some of the smaller budget accounts that I will review on Thursday, March 18th. Those department heads from police, fire, and public works will be there as well, giving their presentation, thoughts, and comments. Next slide, Ron. After that, on Thursday, March 25th, you have the recreation department, the library budget, legal budget. I'll review the capital budget with everyone, review of the manager, council clerk budgets, and any remaining budgets that need to be covered. Next slide. Again, I just want to thank the department heads, very cooperative with me, have always been cooperative with me. And again, I know some sacrifices had to be made this year. We will make those appointments. We will make those hires. We'll get everyone to where they need to be at some point in 2021, but it certainly helped out with keeping the percentage to where it's at. And again, my thanks to Mr. Abbasi for all his hard work over the last several weeks, and couldn't have done it without him. And that's it, Mayor.
Well, Dean, thank you. Thank you to your staff. I know how difficult a year it's been, and I know how hard you guys worked to bring this budget in at where it is. I think some of the key features here is that you've been able to bring it in at a very small percentage increase, and not the least of which is because of your delayed hiring of a number of those positions. And so I want to remind the council, as we discuss this, that again, we're thinking 2021 and 2022. So that those positions that we start in July or September, that we're only budgeting for 4, 5, 6, 7 months this year, we'll be budgeting for 12 next year. And we're going to have to make sure that we have enough revenue carried over, in some cases in form of surplus, to be able to carry out a 2022 in a normal way. So I just want to keep that in mind. The council budget subcommittee will be meeting with Dean and Issa when they set up the time. And I look forward to hearing the presentations at the other meetings. And again, I want to thank you for your very, very hard work. I know how difficult it was. I came in and watched you guys in action. And I thank you very much for what you've done for the township. All right, so with that, I think we will, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, I assume? All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Good night. Have a good night.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, council. Thank you, department heads. I will see you tomorrow morning. Everybody be safe.
Have a great night.